It is a frustrating experience that many of us can probably relate to, having a problem with a service provider or their company, but all you get are brick walls trying to resolve it. 2 News Oklahoma problem solver Pete Knutson tells us about a Grand Lake couple's TV service nightmare, which lasted from summer through the holidays.
When they moved from Tulsa to Grand Lake, the Davidsons moved their DirecTV satellite service with them, just the way they had it, including the local Tulsa stations. The transition went well. At first,
we had the Tulsa stations for about a week, and we got up one morning, turned on the TV. Local news was Joplin. Like, where'd that come from?
So Kathy and her husband called customer service for some answers, but they didn't find any, Kathy says. That first call turned into many, more than 25 at last count. Hours and hours on hold, being transferred, waiting for supervisors. But no more Tulsa stations for the Davidsons, who tag-teamed all those phone calls.
It's hours of time we can never get back in our life that we spent sitting here on the phone over and over and handing it off to each other because we couldn't deal with the frustration anymore.
At first, Kathy says they were told they lived in Ottawa County, which under federal rules means you get Joplin stations. But they live in Delaware County, which gets Tulsa stations.
We have neighbors right here within 50 feet of us that have DirecTV, and they have the Tulsa stations. They don't have Joplin, Missouri.
Finally, the Davidsons say they had enough and canceled their DirecTV service. But then came the final straw. They were hit with an early termination fee of nearly $250, which they refused to pay, and were sent to collections.
And it's not that we can't pay it, because we could, but it's the principle of a thing. We're paying for something that we're not getting.
So we got in touch with DirecTV for the Davidsons. A representative promised to look into the situation. We weren't told what caused their problems, but a couple of business days later, they did get good news. Their account was zeroed out and was no longer in collections.
All is well.
Kathy says that news came in a phone call from an assistant in the office of the company president.
She said, fact of the matter is, we need to make this right. We know we've already lost you as a customer, but we need to make this right.
The Davidsons say they appreciate that, but now have a different company streaming service, one that includes the Tulsa stations and one that cut their monthly TV bill by more than half. Pete Knutson, 2 News Oklahoma, Problem Solvers.